Today we have in our midst a gentleman. He saw it all. He was there, an active participant. But they have remained in the background for all these 41 years for good reason, or for good reasons, because they did not do it for glory. They did it because it had to be done. They had to support something that was happening, because minus that, this country was going to blow up into something else. Today, he's here. He has a story to tell. Not all of it about Dalamagonaika town. The hunter does not say it all. But I think today we'll hear something small, something interesting. More of June 4th, what it stood for, and why we must not allow the spirit of integrity, probity, and accountability to die. Retired W1 Anthony Avame, please, you have the opportunity to share something with us.
Your Excellency, former President of Ghana, all protocols of that. We military men, we don't want to talk plenty, but I know most of you who are here, I know most of you. The General Secretary, I was with him at the Consultative Assembly. I've heard you were my former schoolmate, Kuvodia Sektek, aren't? Yes, and he's my old general. I know him. So you are all patriots. In fact, I need not recount the history of June 4th, because we have celebrated it for about 40 years. We are now in the 41st year. What happened is that I need to recount something small, because we have forgotten about 15th May, which triggered it all. And as a young soldier by then, an LAC, as LAC, who was just going to work, was halted at the main gate. And at the main gate, we were asked to go and take our weapons. Little did we know that something was going to happen. I had earlier encountered my former president, Jerry John Lawrence. He used to come to the session in which I was, which was the photographic session. Because by then, being a jet pilot, he used to go and take photographs, and it is in that office that we process it. In one of our encounters, he said, he called me long boot, because by then I was very small and the boot was more than my leg. So he called me long boot. He said, long boot, don't you think that what is happening in the country, there's something to be done? As a young soldier who didn't know what he meant, I said, sir, but you are the officers, you can't direct us what to do. He said, bullshit, you are not a man. I didn't by then know his intentions. It was only after I have gone to work at the gate, I saw people, they said, go and take your weapons. We all took our weapons. Some few officers had been arrested at the gate. We were waiting for instructions when Reki came in. With, I believe, somebody he has trust in, coming with Major Suleimana. That was where he realized that things were going wrong. There we had to surrender. Of course, when they came with their muwaks, they were also not armed to the core at that time. We were armed. We had bullets, but they weren't having. But because we didn't know what was happening, we thought they were allies, the overwhelmers. They themselves who were coming without what they needed to come with, they were afraid of us also. We were also afraid of them because we didn't know how armed they were. So they arrested us. We were kept in the Air Force. We were kept in the Air Force. We were denied going back to our various homes. Unfortunately, one of my mates died. And during the celebration of his funeral, there was news going on that Sunday, when you hear anything, it is going to happen. It is going to happen. And that if you hear anything come out, it is old man again who is on the scene. And it did happen. It did happen. And then when it happened, there was no direction at the initial stage. There was no direction. But what was happening in the barracks, most of you have said what was happening in the social front. But what was happening at the barracks was not anything to go write home about, because our officers has fortunately or unfortunately regretted the junior ranks. Our dresses, our things that we need to work with were nothing to go home about. And by then we were guarding commissioners and big men. Sometimes you even go to their houses. When you even need water to drink, their wives will ask you, from which cab? Meaning their dogs were even more important than us. So there was an element of enmity among the other ranks. And so when this thing came, and then when the trial came, and our former president stood tall to say that leave these people, I am the person to be held responsible, and recounted what his objectives and aims were, that triggered the whole thing. And when June 4th was to come, it was like fire. Everybody was involved, to the extent that people who were wearing their pecs were removing it to be private soldiers running away. And at that time, I trusted our president, because if it had not been for his magnanimity, a lot of officers would have perished. I remember he has to go to Takrady, where the Navy people had surrounded most of their enemies and wanted to eliminate them. He went and found a strategy out, and that was where white became this thing, that they gave it a holy war, and everybody was clad in white. Went on a route march in town. Those who were hiding saw him and came out. That was it. But to cut everything short, June 4th, like you have said, is to bring back integrity, probity, and accountability. At the early stages, who dare you even be at a checkpoint and receive a cigarette from a friend you know? People will tell me to be a bribe. And your end was in sight. So it was terrible. But going on, we cannot continue with military rule for long. Even though he has assured us that it was not a coup, but a revolution. A lot of things happened. And those of you who have been reading the history of June 4th know a lot of changes happened, constitution, a whole lot of things happened. And that time, even those who don't matter in society and who were assumed to know nothing were in the Consultative Assembly. And so everybody's input was in the Constitution. So we had the 1992 Constitution. And of course, after ruling for long, there is a need to go back to constitutional rule to consolidate the gains which the process has made. So we started, and he became the first civilian elected president after the process. Now going on, in the Constitution, there were so many things to deny him. I was there, and Mr. Esedion Katia was there. They were trying to use citizenship by birth, both parents being Ghanaians, a whole lot of things, age, and a whole lot of things, just to make sure that the former president doesn't find a way to infiltrate into the political scene again. But luckily, at that time, there were a lot of cadres, there were a lot of good reasoning people. The downtrodden, who hitherto doesn't matter, were all in the Consultative Assembly. So somewhere along the line, those things were overcome. And eventually he stood and won. After winning, that was not the end. Probity, accountability, and whatever virtues that the Constitution, the June 4th brought, has to be consolidated. And so we kept moving on. But take note, even with the revolutionary process, some people came in not because their heart was with what the process was about, but what they can achieve for themselves and for their families. So you realize that most of them, when they said the boys are coming, at that time, bank accounts was turbulent. Those of you who hitherto has stayed there will know. Turbulent. The boys are coming. You go for your weapons, off you go. Those who were afraid and could not go were those who found themselves in positions where they can amass wealth. So these things started gradually. And people thought that they can use those opportunities to amass wealth. But the force at that time was so great for them that they couldn't do it. So when we came back to civilian rule, people thought that it was time for materialism to work. And so they entered. People who were not part of the process, after finding that we have gone to constitutional rule, infiltrated into the party. And like I'm telling you, every institution, don't think that everybody within the institution wants you to achieve what you want to achieve. People infiltrated and they became the concerned people and all those who wanted to derail the process. Sometimes it is a strategy by the enemy to use their people to pretend they are, to divide you. Sometimes it is our own people who also, because they wanted gain for themselves and not for the process, come in. And they are the concerned people. They will come and confuse you so much so that you are the leadership will talk, you think that they like you. Meanwhile, they want to damage you. So every day before you wake up, they are your doormouth. Every day before you wake up, they are doormouth. And such has been the thing we have been passing through. As leader of the party, I remember he used his blood to sign the constitution of the party. Whatever differences that we have, whatever our problems, those challenges are not meant to impair us, but to improve us. That is the case of life. Life is not rosy. Any time that you think things are going smooth, know that there is danger ahead. So some of these trials, tribulations, confusion, misunderstanding, enmity, cynicism, backbiting and all those things, they are bound to happen. But we need to stand firm. In fact, there are a lot of people who have followed this process and who are in hibernation now. Otherwise, the way the process started, people going here and there for courses and so on, which I was a part of. People went to GDR, went to Cuba, went to Bulgaria, other places and so on. If all of them, even though they are matured, they still are in the system. A lot who thought that they can come into the system, like my own colleagues, some of them who thought that they can make money and gain, most of them are gone. And the few that who committed themselves, we are not even remembering them today. So I would like to appeal to the party hierarchy that they should not always think that all those people who come into their corridors are people who have them in faith. There are a lot of them who are sent. There are a lot of them who are there for myopic reasons. Now, I am saying that the leader of the process knows where he wants to take the country to. The beauty of life is not about how happy you are, but how happy others are because of you. Trials and temptations will come, but it is not meant to damage you. It is meant to improve you, strengthen you for the cause. So I urge our leader to be strengthened by all the innuendos, the falsehoods, the lies, and whatever people are saying about him, because they are the work of our enemies planted. Even if Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God, came into this earth, but among him, the true disciples, there was a betrayer. How much more me and you who are here now? So I would like him to still stand up, knowing what he means, knowing what he is taking the country to. Because nature, God, always produces somebody in a generation to achieve a certain purpose. And I believe that from what happened from 15 May to June 4th, and he succeeded, there is a force behind him. And for those who are carrying on today, should know that yes, some people sacrificed their lives, toiled to make it a possibility today. And so, they should always listen to his counsel. Where he is even overwhelmed by certain desires and are not even listening, I think there are people he listens to. You can see him in chambers and so, because now is the time to be really united. We are in a country where some people think that it belongs to them. We are not a part of the country, and some resources are also coming to them, and some people resources are not coming to them, so they have no role for leadership. So many things are happening. COVID-19 came to bring humility to mankind, because it knows no barrier. Whether you are president, whether you are what, COVID-19 can do. It is a form of bringing humility to everybody, and that we should reflect on what is happening. Even though we think it is not good, it is to change the face of mankind in this world. And for us to realize that as we are going, we need nothing to take along. People are in posh cars, are in high sky brethren, but they are not happy. I said they are happy, but they are not having joy or peace. Because joy and peace comes from God. Happiness, you can create it. You win a lotto, you are happy. You go and drink appetition, you are happy. You smoke weed, you are happy. But it doesn't last. But if you take your time and build your nation and get your wealth according to what God has planned you for, even when you are hungry, you are happy. You enjoy. So I'm happy the leadership of the party led by the chairman and the general secretary, they are here. I implore on you that all those people who are coming to you to pretend that they are lovers of NDC, I'm telling you, look back and watch them, because you think that they are good. They may be having certain agendas. Hold your founder, who has signed the constitution with his blood. Unite with him. There are numerous people like some of us who went into hibernation, because looking at what is happening, we did not understand. So last when this thing was happening in Tamale, I was called to go and I refused. I just gave some money. But this one I had wanted to refuse. But why I came out was that God creates you that you should also be a solution to a problem. So I'm reminding everybody, let's be fortitude. Let our former president take his lead in the party. Forget about everything that has happened, because without forgiveness, we will all perish. We are all sinners, and we all need forgiveness. So Lord, sir, this is what I have. Thank you very much. Party leaders, be assured and use your